It's another state of the nation. State of the nation, Nigeria, the largest concentration of Black people anywhere on the planet. It is Project Nigeria, country Nigeria. Independence 1960, still crawling. Plenty to unpack today. Nigeria is under siege. There's no doubt about that. I know a lot has happened in the past, but this year alone has been a cacophony of attacks all over Nigeria. So why is it under siege this year? What's been happening before? Yeah, we have to look at that. But why the sudden resurgence of violence all over Nigeria? That's why today I'm bringing to you a guest that should know, that does know, and has interacted with people on ground, and is one of those finding solutions to it. And of course, he's from a part of Nigeria that's been at the receiving end, and his people too are at the receiving end. So there's no other person than my good friend. I call him Stephen Enada. How are you? Welcome to State of the Nation on the Atlantic Discourse channel.
Thank you, Mr. Adebalogun.
Steve is always on the move. I had to catch it very fast today, because he's the only one that can do justice to this topic. So Steve is a Nigerian development expert, human rights advocate, a faith leader. He's the executive president, co-founder of the International Committee on Nigeria, where he leads international advocacy on religious freedom, security, and governance challenges in Nigeria. You see why he's the man for the job, So with over 2 decades of experience in community development and policy engagement, Enada works with global policymakers, civil society groups, faith-based organizations to promote peace, human rights, and sustainable development all across the continent of Africa. That's why we're not going to waste time today and go for the jugular. But before we do that, let's just look quickly at the events of this year. I know there have been killings in Nigeria for so long, in the last 5 years, they've said there are statistics that can show us that that's proven, international statistics that show that they've killed more Christians in Nigeria than anywhere in the world. But we also know that both Muslims and Christians are dying, that's a given. But we want to take a closer look at what has happened this year from January to date. Based on what I have before me here, or just this year alone, we have 40 attacks documented. That's minus the last 24 hours. Before I got on this set, I discovered there have been 3 new attacks again. So, let's look at it. This year alone, we have the Kasunwan Danji attack in Niger. In Bogu local government, we had one, Binduvu in Borno, Mate in Borno, Sabongiri, Borno, Damask, Borno. All this cumulatively, that's already about 120 people dead from what I read out. In Goza villages, Zamfara rural settlement, Sambisa forest, 40 killed. Kumiwali, 12 civilians killed. Funchua, 9. Damboa, 5 soldiers killed. Biningwari, 14. Kukawa, 16 killed. Sokoto border villages, 20. Sabongiri camp, 25. Lake Chad fishing basin, 12. Woro village, 100 plus. Nuku village, 60 plus. Kayama district, 20 injured. Shinkafi, 15. Kankara village is 9. Gubio, 7 soldiers. Konduga, 5 killed. Chikun local government in Kaduna, 18 killed. Sokoto villages, 12. That was cumulative within 2 days. Northern community, multiple ones, 46 killed. In Dikwa, we had 6 soldiers dead. Wow. Batsari, Katsina, 10 killed. Ngala border region, 13. Kajuru in Kaduna again, 16. Maru, 14. Marfa, 8 civilians killed. Guso outskirts, 11. Moba area, 5 soldiers killed. Boeme border village, 12. Sokoto, 15. Sokoto forest, 15. Damboa outskirts, 8. Kebbi border region, 9. Lake Chad Island, 10. Oh, wow. Steve, I'm sure you agree with me that there's something.
And Kogi State, 7. That was yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. I've not even looked at the last 24 hours, So, Stephen, from your monitoring and advocacy work, all right, how would you describe the scale and pattern of terror attack across Nigeria in 2026? Are we witnessing a new phase of the conflict?
No, I don't think we are witnessing any new phase of the conflict. Rather, the conflict, let me just say the Nigeria comes with what we call multi-front security crisis. And what we just have is how the terrorist groups, militant groups have scaled down to take over Nigeria. It has been in plan over the years. So we are just now, they are upping their games and time is not on their side. So they are actually, Nigeria is completely under siege. Everywhere in Nigeria is completely under siege. And we don't even have this security apparatus to address this. So if we are hearing multiple incidents happen here and there, what that tells us is that over the years, we have pretended as a nation not to address this, and we don't have military capability to combat these terrorist groups. And they have gotten all the terror cells are almost everywhere in Nigeria. No state is can say that they don't have it. They do have it. And there are parameters we use to tell people that they are there. Because you begin to look at the farming history of the people in different states in Nigeria. And then you begin to, because we go from state to state and we go to hinterland to see what are farmers doing. So when you see farmers are not going to their farms because of what reason, not because of drought, not because of lack of rain, is because their lands and forests have been taken over by terrorist groups. So it is really, Nigeria is under siege. And I'm telling you, let me just stop at that because maybe you have some questions.
Okay. So, I mean, we'll have about 30 minutes, but if it takes longer, then it takes longer. It's just, I mean, this is a very serious issue, you know?
Yeah.
So many Nigerians believe government has failed to contain the crisis. In your assessment, where exactly is the strategy breakdown? 1, intelligence. 2, military capacity. 3, political will.
When you see, when it comes to,
please take your time to explain. You're not that, please.
Yeah, you see, when you begin to measuring terrorism infiltration, it involves a multifaceted approach. You see, like you are saying, you combine intelligence gathering, behavioral analysis, data mining, physical securities, and other measures to detect most of these things. Now, when you talk about Nigeria incident and you begin to look at the behavioral and surveillance indicators, the Nigeria government lack it. Let me just tell you one of the indicators that even make it more dangerous. Nigeria border in the north is so porous that the terrorists come with arms, come with their soldiers. They come and overwhelm. So to the extent that, you see, when we are talking and then you are talking about the indicators, we have failed as a nation. Why? Because many communities are ungoverned by Nigeria government. It has been taken over by terrorists. So we are not talking. You see, when you mention, let me just tell you, in Kaduna State, terrorists have their community where they govern. In Zamfara, in Niger, in Benue, in Plateau. So they have their training centers where even all governors of this state, they know them. They know where they are, and they know that they are vicious. They know that they can't be confronted. And even Nigeria's security agencies also understand this. So now when you talk about terrorism and criminal landscape in Nigeria, it is complicated and complex, but it is because of the failure of government who has actually allowed them to fester, allowed them to take root, and allowed them to actually govern territories. And then you see the integrity of Nigeria is challenged from that perspective, in the sense that you have elements like terrorist groups administering their own type of governance in your land. So when we begin to look at, it's not that Nigeria doesn't gather intelligence, they do, but they don't have a wherewithal to address it. When you see terrorists having weapons, ordnance that Nigeria soldier cannot even, they will run away from it. To the extent that they destroy, in the past, they used to capture and take arms, but now they destroy the arms because they have enough munition.
They have what is even better than what they are capturing.
What they are capturing. So that's why you see them burning military vehicles and armor, munitions and every other thing, because they have superior ordnance than Nigeria soldiers.
Wow. Okay, violence. I'm scared, you know. Oh God, it's worrisome. Violence that once seemed concentrated, yeah. Because I got a lot of questions when I told people some of my people are coming, so they send me a lot of questions for you. Violence that once seemed concentrated in the northeast now appears to be spreading into the middle belt and other regions of Nigeria. What explains this geographic expansion of terror networks?
The ideology of terrorism, or the terrorists come with one thing. They want economic power, they want political power, and incidentally, they also want to establish what they call Islamic Caliphate. We see when we mention Islamic Caliphate, this is not generalizing, or this is not bringing moderate Muslims or Muslims who we know as Nigerians that we have them as cousins, we have them as uncles, we have them as relations, we have them as friends. We are not talking about that. This thing has actually evolved, that to the extent that this brand of Islamic ascendants who are actually coming from outside Nigeria have one thing in common, and by proxy, they have banditry. You have they've established banditry, or what we call bandits, even though they are still terrorists. And you begin to look at it at one, from the economic point of view, when they kidnap and then ransom is being paid, that is actually a cartel. It's just like a drug trade. And then you see the deal, even you can see transborder narcotics trade is also booming. And then you begin to look at how they are even selling our girls as sex slaves into through the Mediterranean. So it's now this is a trade that is influenced by economic factors, political factors, financial factors, and also land grabbing, because they want to establish the caliphate, and then they have Nigeria in focus. So Middle Belt in the past used to be like a buffer zone where all the crisis stops, because these people were fighting, pushing them back. But now they are being overwhelmed. And also they have actually taken over to the extent that they need more land, they need more resources. So that is the reason why the forest in the south is overwhelmed.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, and it is all about expansion. It's all about land grabbing and capture.
Should the people of southwestern Nigeria be worried? Because I've read stories that a lot of farmers are not going to farm as usual, that some of those areas too are occupied. Is there any reason to be worried there?
Yeah, well, it is the truth of the matter is that the southwest, the south, the southeast are actually sitting on a time bomb that they are not even prepared for, because they have pretended it's not coming to them, whereas their lands have been occupied. Oh, so wow. in this self-deceit, they are really courting death to the extent that it will be worse than what is happening, because they are never prepared for that. So the Southwest is actually going to be one of the fertile lands when they draw their plan and they begin to attack, because like I've told you, we have researchers, we are documenting, we have data, and this data is not, you see, when you talk about terror cells, and we are talking about from forest to forest, Ikiti forest is also being taken. And there is also a counterpart criminal activities going, which is also illegal mining. Illegal mining comes with the fact that they use those who are mining illegally our earth minerals. They also are coming with arms to give to these miscreants and criminals to sack villages and towns where these mineral deposits are located. Once this is done, what do? Then those criminals also now begin to like, oh, with this minerals also, we can actually make more money. And making more money, they want to also establish their own kingdom. And doing that, they displace people. Doing that, Nigeria government is losing money, losing her people, losing land, and all is chaos. So Southwest, especially. Now, Kogi State, Kwara State, that used to be the last
the border line.
The border, yeah. Now it's been overrun. It's been overwhelmed. And then the spillover has gone to Ondo State. The spillover actually. So now when you look at Lagos State, people think Lagos State, no, from Aziz, Ejiri, all of those areas actually, these guys are there. They are there. There are certain areas from Ejiri side going into those forests and swampy areas. The locals there cannot go into those forests because they are there. Those bad guys are there. When you begin to look at from Ondo State to Ogun State, all those Azis have been occupied, the forests have been occupied. And then there are many criminal activities going on there, illegal mining and all kinds of stuff. Now they are occupied with the illegal mining aspect. But when that stops, or when they begin, you see, it is money is never enough for criminals. The more they are getting it, the more they will begin to expand. The more they will begin to say, "Oh, we can even actually take over." So, illegal mining, banditry, they reinforce each other, and they have brought about instability in Nigeria. Nigeria is chaotic, and it's not trying to. This is not. This is not a doomsday prophecy, but this is actually a very dangerous. We find ourselves in a very dangerous time, and it is actually more than Nigeria to address now.
Okay, before I go to my next question, I want to ask you this: Lakurawa, ISWAP, ISIS, the mining of minerals, the Chinese influx, are they all related? Are those groups independently operating, or they are just sectors that are under one umbrella somewhere that, one leadership or one, like you said, caliphate, or, I mean, I know they're all Islamic related, but are they like cousins or brothers reporting to somebody somewhere, or they're just doing their own thing independently? Because I know the Chinese are in Nigeria doing also. So what's the Chinese link to it? And what do you think is the source of their ammunition?
You see, there when it comes to security and everything, there is what we call decentralized threats.
Right, okay.
And you begin to talk about the rise of leaderless resistance. And then you begin to look at how difficult to track networks in situations like Nigeria. So now, when you have criminal tendencies, when you have terrorism, yes, you see Boko Haram has different ideology, and they are supported by ISIS, even though they have their own eternal leadership tools like every other system in the world. Now, that is one aspect. Then Fulani militants who actually try to grab land, take over land, they are driven by that. When a country is broken and fractured, it gives rise, or it gives birth to many other issues, criminal tendencies. I'm telling you, there are locally made militia who are not necessarily connected to Fulani militants or connected to Lakurawa or ISIS or Boko Haram. So it is actually Nigeria lack of addressing this issue is giving birth to many other criminal activities from different regions and from different communities. So you have to now begin to, because when a criminal activity springs up in any community, you begin to look at the character of that crime. So you look at the character, and then you begin to define it. So because if you look at it, if maybe somebody is kidnapped, like for example in Edo State, yes, the tendency to say this is a Fulani that has kidnapped is very high because it is pervasive. But it may not necessarily be Fulani, it may be locals who are carrying out that.
Okay.
Because Nigeria's lack of addressing this issue has led to many.
So it's a free for all now.
Yeah, free. Yeah. So that is what I'm just trying to say in that regard.
Oh, wow. That's really sad. So I know you have been active in advocacy, in Washington, internationally, and everywhere. You are well known. And I mean, so what role should the United States and the global community play in helping Nigeria, to confront terrorism and this mass violence right now? I know they are boots on the ground. There were some tomahawk launches, some parts of Chokoto, sometime around Christmas, the boots on the ground, 200 people, 200 soldiers. It's not very much. So how can the U.S. really help Nigeria? What do you?
Yeah, you see, U.S. just like policing the world here and there, we have to look at even many conventions and provisos that actually trigger international instruments to address the problem we have in Nigeria. For example, when you see right to protect, United Nations is a big organization, and we have other international organizations that are charged with this sole responsibility where terror already, we know Boko Haram is foreign terrorist organization, ISWAP, Lakurawa, and all the rest have those characteristics that define or place them adequately as foreign terrorist organization. So when you have a foreign terrorist group operating anywhere in the world, it triggers the international proviso, the norm, the instrument. So now we are not before even you mentioned the United States, we have to begin to ask these questions: that where is the United Nations when it comes to the issue of terrorism in Nigeria? Have they really
in West Africa?
In West Africa, in the Sahel. So have they really done anything? And this is really appalling. And for me, even is supposed we begin to even ask the United Kingdom, who actually used to be the colonial master. You begin to ask the the EU. You begin to ask African Union. You begin to ask ECOWAS. What are those? Do they have any plan to address this issue? Is no. They don't have any other thing. So now, the reason being that United States is acting on one premise that if there is terrorism anywhere in the world, United States is a target. So now, for preventing Homeland Security to be attacked, U.S. Homeland Security to be attacked, that is the reason why U.S. is actually taking some steps to address this issue. Don't forget what happened some years ago in the Middle East of ISIS. U.S. have to go there. They have to neutralize them, even though there are still splinter groups. They are not totally gone because they are driven by ideology. Now, U.S. is actually acting because they are trying to protect their own interests. Okay. Nigeria is just like 10 hours away from Nigeria, so it can be attacked. An aeroplane, what Nigeria government... As in
Nigeria is 10 hours away from America?
Yes.
Okay.
Nigeria is 10 hours away from America. From, you know what I'm saying? We all fly both in and out. Depends on which entry point. Yeah. So all I'm just saying is that the political elites, they are playing with fire. And the reason why I'm saying this is because our aviation industry is not secure. I tell you, it will graduate into where these people will be hijacking plane freely. Because now in the past, we don't think that even our roads will be so dangerous that people will not even travel again.
They've attacked.
So now I'm telling you, the way they are graduating, the way they are becoming so vicious, even air travel might not be safe. So now we are saying, from my own perspective, is that Nigeria problem is a global problem. And because one, human lives are involved. Two, the national integrity, the sovereign nation of Nigeria is infiltrated by these elements. So we need international community. And if the United States is actually standing to root out these this terrorism that has afflicted Nigeria in the last how many years, then it is a welcome development. It should be something that Nigeria government will say, hey, come, the global community, because as it stands, Nigeria government doesn't have what we call it. You see, Nigeria government doesn't even have the technology. When you talk about the issue of disinformation, you need a multi-source verification and cross-referencing to ensure intelligence that will be shared across board. We don't have it, we lack it because it's been sabotaged. Now, you begin to talk about incident characteristic. So, like what you and I have been doing now, we are analyzing the frequency, the geographic spread, and then you begin to look at from the perspective of plots versus attacks. We don't even know when they are plotting. Then, because there is no system for early warning system.
Oh, wow.
Then you begin to look at the plot. They are plotting. Then they carry out the attacks. So now what we do from our own research point of view is that our researcher differentiate between executed attacks and foil plots. And then because you have to use that to measure the truth, sometimes you have to also begin to look at hidden infiltration. And the hidden infiltration is in our security agencies.
Yes. Oh, wow.
And that is another problem. So we need global community, but if US is spearheading it, it's a welcome development.
No. Yeah, but since the boots were on ground, I think about 200 or 300 of them, there's been an upsurge. That's why we're looking at this year. That's why I picked that upsurge of 2026. When will we start feeling their impact? Are they going to join in attacking or repelling them, or they're just here for technical advice or just training our soldiers?
This time, at that level, we can assumption will be what many people will be sharing as regarding U.S. soldiers on ground, right? But what I've seen over the years and what has happened from our own experience is there is mapping. Because they are doing assessment. What the United States is doing, which I can tell you of a fact, is that they are assessing, they are mapping, they are documenting, and then they are looking at the infrastructure, and they are doing all of these things to help them, if need be, one, to deter terrorism from attacking the United States.
Okay.
Now, there must be collaboration. You begin to talk about the Nigerian government should be willing, one, to say, now that you guys are here, we want your intelligence and we want your ordinance, we want your support, and then they begin to share this information. But I don't see Nigerian government sharing any information with the United States. And the United States will not really want to do anything now with the boot on ground that they are saying that the boot on ground is not actually combative for now. They are not there to combat anything. They are just there to do mapping, to do all the risk analysis, and to look at it where is American interest affected. Wow. Don't forget, there are many terrorists now of ISWAP origin who actually are leaving Middle East for Nigeria. That's Sahel, that's SWAT. So they are coming, and the truth of the matter, as they are coming, it is now incumbent on the U.S. Homeland Security, the intel agencies to begin to look at it, that this is a high risk for the United States because their interest is in the region as well. But it will take Nigeria government to activate that kind of relationship whereby U.S. will still try to provide, because they are also looking at it from the perspective of, like, is U.S. invading Nigeria? It's not up to that yet. But when it comes to that, maybe they can throw bombs here and there, but that cannot solve the problem we are talking.
Wow. The thing is, the way I see it is that, I mean, it's very scary. It does look like government doesn't have the capacity to tackle it. But let me ask you this question. Someone sent me this. They said, if Nigeria is truly under siege, what concrete steps, politically, military, and socially, must happen immediately to prevent the country from sliding into a wider national security collapse? Because the inference here is that we're on the verge of something. It's clear, and from the body language of the politician, they actually don't really care because it's not priority for them. Maybe the next election or something is priority. So the question is, what must happen immediately to prevent the country from sliding into a wider national security collapse?
Sorry, the line, it froze. I didn't hear. Yes.
Okay. It said, if Nigeria is truly under siege, what concrete steps, politically, military, socially, must happen immediately to prevent the country from sliding into wider national security collapse? As a matter of urgency, I think that's
as it stands now, there is nothing that Nigeria government has failed in tackling this. Let me just give, let's draw back 2 years ago. 2 years ago, even last year, or let me just say 2024, I can tell you of a fact. You see, when you look at the nature of these terrorist activities in Nigeria, it used to be like they use what we call asymmetric tactics. So it's just the non-linear nature of terrorism. You see some decrease in violence. Then they will now go and regroup and study the landscape. Then they will come again. But now it's no longer like that.
They are there to stay.
Yes, they are there to say it is full-blown now. So in other words, what are we saying here? What we are saying here is that Nigeria government cannot, and that is a fact. You can quote me today, tomorrow, except if you see anything, if Nigeria government posture to this issue changes tomorrow, then we'll address it. But as it stands today, Nigeria government lacks every capability to address this issue. So when you are talking about the urgency, which is very, very urgent, when you are talking about how do we combat this now, which is necessary, which is something all of us want, is that they don't have it. They don't have any instrument. They don't have the capability. It's nil. It's zero. Now, if you look at how they kill military. Look at how military people run away. Even they have weapons. Imagine compared to ordinary Nigerians.
3 different military settlements. Yeah.
Yes. Now, okay, look at it now. You and I, these guys are using video. They are using phones.
Drones. They have drones.
They are doing everything like that. Then now, if Nigeria government has that capability, where in the world, now in the United States, can you use phone to call and then threaten even somebody, and then you will not be arrested in minutes? So now you begin to look at government culpability or government lack of seriousness, in the sense that all these years that bandits will be calling, oh, you have to bring this money. All this Nigeria government has not even addressed that. What the solution now is that Nigeria government has to declare state of emergency, that we have been overrun, and at this stage we will need international support. And it's not just going to be one nation problem. It's going to be even West African. You see, Ghana, Niger, Chad, even though they have their own trouble, especially Niger, Chad, Cameroon, they are almost gone. Niger, Chad, Cameroon, they are gone. They are gone. They are gone. The only thing that has helped now is the Burkina Faso guy has prevented their influx through that axis. He has been doing, he's blocking them. That is the reason why the movement is slowing, because he's acting. And then you begin to look at
and he's buying real weapons. He's really facing them head on.
He's facing them, and he's trying to preserve his country. What I'm just saying now is that Nigeria is broken and fractured by these elements we have. And Nigeria government, it's just going to be lip service. We are going to do this thing. They are not going to do anything. And then you begin to look at the language that is deployed. And that is another thing when it comes to tackling, because you see, if Nigeria government had wanted to address this issue, the solution would have been national emergency and convocation to say we need community policing, where each community recruits and arm and train their own people to protect. That would have reduced this thing as quickly as possible, but it's now belated again. Because you cannot begin to plan how to swim when you're already drowning, right? Mm-hmm. You are in the midst of you are already your canoe has capsized, and then you say, "Oh, let me learn how to swim." That is a situation we find ourselves now. You see, there is also disinformation from Nigeria security agencies, disinformation from religious leaders, disinformation from political leaders, ethnic bias, religious bias, treating terrorists with kid's glove, to the extent that if I were the president of Nigeria, hearing any government official or any citizen even talking that terrorists are our brothers, that is self-indicting statement. When you hear anybody that we want to rehabilitate terrorists, those are people who are giving them soft landing. They are giving them comfort to fester. When you begin to look at that level of these are our brothers, we need, that is a failure of government. Nobody does that anyway.
Anyway, the what you were talking about was going to be my next question, but I'll still ask it because I'm sure there'll be some other things you want to touch on. Said many Nigerians believe politics, ethnic calculations, elite interests are preventing decisive decisions and action against terror groups. Is there political class? Is the political class part of the problem rather than the solution?
They are the part of the problem because, one, with our limited manpower when it comes to policing, they are the one who actually are taking they take policemen to guide them, to protect they themselves, their wives, their children. Now they deplete even the beleaguered security agencies that are supposed to even protect the entire country populace. Now that they are culpable because they think they are protected. They think they don't, even if they are traveling by road, they go in convoy with military escort, with police escort, with siren and gun blaring bodyguards. So they are part of it, and they are part of it also from the prism of looking at it from, one, they use it to campaign a lot. So now, and since the eternal quest for every Nigerian politician that I've seen over the years is how to perpetuate themselves politically, and then how to be in power. And to be in power, they need confusion, they need poverty, they need violence, they need terrorism, so that they will use it to campaign, because that is actually what they use to campaign. The election tawdry is also part of violence we are talking.
Oh, wow.
The rigging, snatching of ballot boxes, killing and everything, that actually feed into what we are talking. It has gone into our national psyche to the extent that violence has become the determining factor, sometimes how to take power from people or how to impose yourself on people. So Nigerian politicians have failed, and they have failed woefully. I'm not talking about just one. All of them.
All of them.
Yeah. All of them have failed.
So you agree it's failure of leadership.
But that is the bane.
That's the bane. Wow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is the bane.
Let's be more blunt now. This is my last question to you. If the current trajectory continues, right, is Nigeria facing a slow national security collapse or a risk of fragmentation?
You have you see, you are so gracious to Nigeria by even by trying to massage her remaining ego. The truth of the matter is that, like I said before this time, Nigeria is fractured and broken. Nigeria is a failed state. All parameters, indices to measure a failed state, Nigeria has checked all the boxes. So then what that will lead into is the fragmentation will go along ethnic lines. The more stronger ethnic people who are prepared will take over, and the minority tribe who are prepared will even subsume and override even majority tribe that
They are not ready.
not prepared, that are not ready. So the fragmentation is already there. Nigeria is fractured, is broken. Nigeria is a failed state. And when you say that, some people say, why are you saying that? It is a failed state. We should just come together and say, well, we have to come to the table for national discourse this time around and salvage the remain of Nigeria. If there is going to be Nigeria in the coming days, weeks, and years. Because the way it is going, don't forget, hunger is going to feed into this. The level of frustration, poverty.
So much infrastructure.
It will feed this monster that we have refused to address. So just for as people, some people are not being killed by bandits or by Boko Haram, but some people are killed by hunger. Some people also died needlessly because they don't have access to quality healthcare, if there is one. So you begin to look at these monsters, you begin to look at all these problems from all these angles. Nigeria today is a failed state, but it's redeemable, and its redemption comes with honest appraisal and to come to the table and ask ourselves one simple question: what is the future of this country? We have to sit down and renegotiate. And when that serious discussion is taking place, I tell you, those bad guys will sit down and say, hey, the way it is going is like we are going to be whooped.
Wow. Let me ask you this. I know I told you that was the last question, but I'm always tempted to ask my guests this. Okay, President Tinubu is the president of Nigeria. Now, I mean, what advice can you give him right now? I mean, it would be unfair on him to say he's happy with the way the country is. You understand? I know he's concentrating more on politics, second term and all that. He's coming to power has also been a near fiasco. You understand? I mean, there's no need to be diplomatic about that. Just like Buhari was a major aberration and disaster, we don't have to be apologetic for it. What we see on ground shows that. But he is the president today. If there's anybody anywhere that can actually change the fortunes of Nigeria, it is Bola Tinubu. What advice do you have for him? What message do you have for him? And we call it a day when you finish that.
President Tinubu came with the mantra of, is it Renew Hope? So, and then he is the president. So every ball drops at his feet. So you see, every leadership is not something that you beg for. Leadership is something that you have to own, and you have to administer the oath of your office. So he is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I know it is overwhelming, but there is. I will advise him that we are a student of history. Why is it that our leaders, political leaders, especially president, will be thinking of re-election than the safety and sustainable livelihood of their people? So for me, his failure is his concentration. His concentration should be on security and how to redeem Nigeria and put Nigeria in the right trajectory where lives, you see, when life is cheapened, people are being killed. So now he is a president. I'm not the president. You are not. He is a commander-in-chief. So for me, politicking for re-election, even it is very annoying to be hearing politicians campaigning for 2027. Yes, we are not saying they shouldn't campaign. What are you going to campaign on? Campaign that people are being killed? So for me, his handlers, his advisors are self-serving. So I am advising that he should actually, as he travels, I want to see his international travel, engaging leaders to say, hey, come, we have problem in Nigeria, come and help, security-wise. That is where I think he will get it right. But the time is sliding, and I tell you, even if he wins re-election or not, that is not my problem. The problem is that the monsters he's not taming today is going out of hand. And even his second term, if he wins second term, and if Nigeria has not collapsed totally, you see, do you want to be a president over fractured, fragmented community or society? No, I don't think he wants that. But it should not be, whether he likes it or not, we will ask serious questions about his leadership in Nigeria of today.
Thank you, Stephen Enada. Steve is an international security and policy consultant, so that's why he's here. You can see he always live up to the billing. We don't have too much time, actually. I mean, you don't need to be a soothsayer to see that. I'm reliably informed that in some part of the southern part of Nigeria, why you are not seeing people shouting about the incursion of the Fulani is that because they're already paying for land, there've been exchanges, they've giving money to some ballets and traditional rulers. That's why there's not so much noise going on. That where you see killings are where there's been resistance. That so many parts of the southern, there's no resistance, they've actually occupied the land. So it's a wrap there. Stephen, thank you so much. I know it's late, but thank you. You've done justice to it as usual. And to all our viewers, this is not just a clarion call to pray for Nigeria. This is not prayer time. This time to act. We need to act. Thank you all. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you.